I wanted to talk to you a bit about Lake Maree single malt whiskey. This one is a single malt that I've made here in Christchurch. It is obviously 100% malted barley. All the barley is malted here in Canterbury, over in Dunsandel. It's brought to us, and then we mash it, ferment it, distill it, age it, bottle it, all right here. So Lake Maree, this is the biggest batch of whiskey that we had ever made. It did fill a full-size ex-bourbon cask. And then what we did after a year is we actually split it into 3 smaller casks, a 100-liter cask, an ex-maple syrup smaller cask, and a new American oak cask that was also smaller. And then we blended this all back together at the end to come up with this whiskey. So it is a one batch, just it was one barrel split into 3 and brought back into 1. And it's only a couple years old. We've got more that's going to be coming as well. We've got some that's aging longer, but at 2 years old, it's actually amazing. What we do here at Herrick Creek is we really sort of try and distill it to the environment, and we distill it in a way that it's going to be ready to drink young. Now, sometimes, you're going to hear this in other places where, it's got to sit for so long. It's got to sit for 10 to 12 years before it's going to taste any good. The difference is, you can get a lot more efficiency if you keep more of the heads and tails that are a bit more funky flavored. Those will age out into something unique and interesting over, a decade. But if you keep a little bit of a shorter cut, a cleaner cut when you're distilling, you can end up with something you can drink straight away when it's going into the barrel, and something that's still going to taste good in 2 years after being aged under a watchful eye. So it's what you've got to try to kind of understand what I'm telling you. New Zealand whiskey is young, it is new, but as well, New Zealand's environment is different to other places around the world. We have a huge variety of weather here, and it just drinks well. So the mash bill on this is it is 100% barley, and it's 1/3 peated malt in here. So it's a lightly peated whiskey. In fact, on the first smell, you might be mistaken. You'd be forgiven for thinking that there was no smoke in it, but it does kind of come in and out. It comes and goes a little bit here and there, and there's a bit of a sweetness to it. There's a bit, for sure, some caramels, your usual vanillas. Definitely a fruitiness to it, and then this sort of a grassy note as well. New Zealand peat tends to be a bit more grassy. It's not so coastal. It's a bit more inland, grassy, earthy, if you will. It's got a lovely nose. There's no alcohol burn to this one. It's 47%. Just making sure I get that right. On the flavor, I get initially a touch of sweetness, which is then followed by, there's the smoke layer that comes through. And then you get quite a few different variations of what's coming at you. Chocolate, actually, definitely some chocolatey notes. The smoke reappears just here and there, very gently. If you're not into like a heavily peated whiskey, I still think you might enjoy this one. It's just light. It's just kind of, coming and going in there. And it's a really interesting one for you to explore your palate a bit and just say, like, okay, this isn't 100% smoke, but it's not 100% unsmoked, right? So this is a fun one for that. You can sit there and really sip this one. You can smell it. You can really explore what's coming out of your glass with this one. Now, this was our biggest batch to date, with something like 400 bottles nearly. And it's available on our website. We will have more batches available in the future. They will be not always aged the exact same way, but Lake Maree itself will be sticking around. It's a fantastic single malt whiskey, and this is our flagship single malt here at Herrick Creek. I'm Tom Finn. If you have any questions, let me know. Cheers.